Good evening. I'd like to call this planning board to order in accordance with the Open Publics Meeting Act, New Jersey SA 10:4-10, and the regulations governing remote meetings, NJAC 5:39-1.5. I hereby announce that adequate notice and electronic notice of this meeting was provided in a notice dated January 24th, 2023, that was sent to the Asbury Park Press, the Two River Times, posted on the bulletin board and the main access door to Town Hall, filed with the clerk's office, and posted on the township's website, www.holmdeltownship.com. Roll call, please.
Mayor Lucarelli. Mayor Lucarelli is absent. Mr. Ackerson. Mr. Ackerson is absent. Mr. Emma. Mr. Emma is absent. Mr. Fagan. Mr. Fagan is absent. Mr. Castany.
Here.
Mr. King.
Here.
Ms. Pelosis.
Here.
Mr. Silberman. Mr. Silberman is absent. Ms. Polavina.
Here.
Ms. O'Connor.
Here.
And Ms. LaMountain.
Here.
You're over there.
Okay, can we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And can you please remain standing for a moment of silence to honor our military, our police, and our first responders, please? Thank you. Okay, can we... Go ahead.
You can start.
Courtney, can we sit our alternates?
Yep, we
For
are
Ron and Jeff, please.
Ron and Jeff. Ms. Polavina for Jeff and Ms. O'Connor for Ron.
Please.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the first order of business is extension of time. Item number 1, PB 2020-01, Barclay Square at Holmdel LLC, Palmer Avenue, Block 52, lots 17 and 18. Applicant seeks a one-year extension of preliminary and final major site plan approval, memorializing on July 20 of 2021. The attorney for the applicant,
Yes, ma'am.
your name, please?
My name is Neil Zimmerman. I'm with the law firm of Waters, McPherson, McNeil in Secaucus, New Jersey, representing Barclay Square at Holmdel LLC.
Okay, Mr. Zimmerman, why are you asking for an extension, may I ask?
We have a purchase and sale agreement. My client is about to sell the property, and the buyer is doing their diligence. And one of the items they came up with is they wanted to make sure that the site plan approval was extended.
Okay. Let the board be aware that this is part of our COA application and our obligation, and Holmdel needs to meet this obligation. So is there any discussion among the board?
I'm not sure I understood why it's being extended. Would you mind clarifying it? The owner or the purchaser has asked for the extension?
The purchaser has asked for the extension, yes.
And did he give a reason?
It's just good practice.
Okay.
They have a very good law firm that's doing diligence for them, and the law firm said it should be extended.
So if we do extend, there's no guarantee this purchase is going to go through. And am I correct then, we run the risk of not meeting the time periods for COA obligations?
No, we would continue
Will be
to-
okay?
Yeah, my client would either develop it himself or look for another buyer if the deal fell through.
Okay.
So how long is this period of due diligence?
60 days.
Okay, so there's about another 60 days from now, or from the time that we would, if we were to
Granted.
agree?
The 60 days really doesn't have anything to do with the municipality. The 60 days started a little while ago, I don't know exactly when, But they've still
Okay.
got a lot of time to look into it. And, you know, quite frankly, it's customary that if you need more time, give the buyer a little bit more time if he needs it.
I
Is there any
have,
other
I
discussion?
yeah, I have legal questions
Yes, sir.
from our counsel.
Yep.
Is everyone up here eligible to vote, even though they may not have been voting on the
It's just
first?
an extension, yeah, unless there's a conflict, unless somebody has a conflict.
Got it.
No.
And second, if it were not granted, what happens?
Would be sued probably, and the COA settlement would be out the window. But these are routinely granted.
But I know, can't the applicant reapply? The new owner?
There's nothing, to my knowledge, that prevents him from reapplying if we deny it without prejudice, but I've never seen one not denied, but I guess that's what you would do if that's what your inclination is. I mean, we're not at the, everything, I heard the last piece of council's comment. I mean, obviously contracts have due diligence, as some of us know, and that's all standard. Applying for these is, you know, it's hard to sometimes finish. I'm not advocating for the client, by the way, the applicant. Sometimes it's hard to finish everything in 2 years, and I think there's probably, we've heard from Mr. Euro, who was the engineer at the time. He confirmed, he sent an email, what's been done so far. A lot of stuff has been done. There's a few open outside agency permits, but I believe all the Holmdel resolution compliance items were finished. It's my understanding. So they've been working diligently. He can tell you that, not me. And when you're working diligently, it's hard to find a reason not to extend it. But if you deny it, I would say deny it without prejudice, if that's your inclination, if you want to wait for some other time period.
I might be the lone voice up here, but anyway, okay, thank you.
Is there any other discussion among the board? Any motions?
Right, so I missed the beginning. I apologize. I had to
Okay.
talk to council on the other matter, but so I just quickly mentioned, Bob Euro did send an email confirming what was done to date. I know no one has seen it, but I did have it, unless somebody stole it from me. I'll tell you. There it is. So I can read this into the record since it's for the board's edification. So as discussed, and if everyone who wasn't here, Bob Euro was the engineer for this application. So he continues to do the resolution compliance items on behalf of the board because he stays on with those applications. As discussed, I reviewed our files and determined that the applicant has addressed all the T&M engineering comments for the project, with the exception of the outside agency approvals. After speaking with the engineer for the applicant at Mid-Atlantic, the following is an update on the outside agency approvals. They've received NJDEP flood hazard area, NJDEP wetlands, letter of interpretation, freehold soils. They still need to obtain Monmouth County Planning Board. Mid-Atlantic is working to address comments from October of 2022 that the county sent a letter at that date, resulted in the county's request for a 6-foot pavement widening to Palmer. They're also waiting for NJDEP Treatment Works approval for the sanitary sewer and New Jersey American Water for the water connection. It should be noted Mid-Atlantic met with both the NJDEP and CME Associates in 2022 to discuss the desnagging of Mahoris Brook. It's my understanding that the permit is not required for this task and that this shall commence once the site plan approval is perfected. I will verify this in speaking with CME, who is the township engineer. Once that was sent, Mid-Atlantic engineer responded to Bob saying the summary below looks good. I just want to note that we have had the approval for the NJDEP general permit for the transition area waiver. I've also attached and circulated a memo from CME regarding the Mahoris Brook desnagging for your reference, and she does attach a memo that came on that aspect. I don't want to repeat what you said already, but those are some items. Those are all the things they've been working on for the last 2 years. And what's just looks like a couple, really Monmouth County seems to be the biggest thing in the treatment works approval.
Okay.
Chairperson, also just for the board's understanding, especially for new members, this is something that's contemplated by the MLUL, where an applicant does have the right to ask for only 2. They can ask for up to 2-year extensions. So this isn't something that can keep infinitely going.
3 1-year extensions.
3 1-year extensions,
Yes.
sorry. I took that test so long ago. So, this isn't something that can infinitely keep on
That's right.
going. And, they do have to, show that they have been actively pursuing the, the conditions of approval. And it's really, it's generally meant to, allow for the amount of time that might be needed for outside agency approvals so that the board isn't punished, the town isn't punished, the applicant isn't punished, just because things happen to take
Right.
longer. So, this is, something that is customarily done, and that's why Marty just read that into the record about what they have been doing, because that's part of the MLUL rationale for it,
Right.
that
Right.
they have been actively pursuing their
Right.
approvals.
And it's 1 year from expiration date, whenever it's granted, so it's not from today, it's not from next, it's from the date their original 2 years would have expired.
So is the applicant the new individual that's buying this, or
It's
sorry to
still-
be...
no, no,
Still be them.
It's still the same
Same
applicant.
applicant.
Okay, thank you.
We haven't sold to them yet.
Okay.
All right,
If I
thank
could
you.
just add to what Mr. Flagler said, Bob Euro wrote a letter to this board on September 23rd. Just read part of it. From an engineering standpoint, I have no objections to the board signing the plans. All resolution conditions have been addressed at this time. So that just shows a lot of progress with the town. If you want, I've got all the exhibits, which would show the other things we do, just to highlight some of them. In December, we paid about $52,000, I think, to the town for the sewer connection fee. And we also did an awful lot of work with Ben Matlack when he was here, working on the de-snagging. The board resolution required that we de-snag the brook every 2 years. I didn't get into the details of what de-snagging entailed, so we had numerous conversations with him and with DEP to make sure that what we were doing was not going to run afoul of DEP regulations. And that is going to be attached to the developers agreement, which is in draft. I sent it to, I've been going back and forth with Mr. Bayer on the developers agreement, and the de-snagging memo will be attached to the developers agreement as an exhibit. We're going to be promising to comply with that de-snagging memo, as we would anyway, because it was a condition of approval. So that's kind of the Reader's Digest version.
That's
And
fine.
if anyone wants to hear that memo, I mean, I could read what the de-snagging entails, but not,
No, I don't think you need to read.
we can all figure it out. But it's pretty intense. It's not just go out there and do something. It's got like 7 bullet points here.
Any other,
There was a lot of time
Yeah.
deciding on those 7 bullet points.
any other discussion among the board members? Is there a motion?
I guess
Motion to pass.
we
Motion
Yes.
to
move
grant the
to grant the
extension.
extension.
Yes.
So I move to grant the extension.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right. Roll call, please.
Ms. Lamountain?
Yes.
Mr. Kesting?
With explanation, I vote no. The reason being, although I voted yes for the first, when the application was first heard, I vote no, notwithstanding MLUL or normal procedure, but I understand the stormwater ordinance is, not an ordinance, the study is about to be completed within 5 to 6 months, so I would like to see that before the extension is granted. So I vote no.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Ms. Pelosi?
Yes.
Mr. Silverman?
Yes.
Ms. Polavina?
Yes.
Ms. O'Connor?
Yes.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay. Item number 2, PB 2023-A Somerset Holmdel Development, 101 Crawford's Corner, Block 11, lots 30.03-38-07, preliminary and final site plan approval with sign variance. Applicant seeks preliminary and final major site plan approval with variance release to amend 3 road entrance monument retail signs to digital signage on Bellworks property. This item will not be heard and will be carried and renoticed for the June 20th, 23 Planning Board meeting. Okay. Item number 3, PB 2023-B Swing Loose LLC, 101 Crawford's Corner Road, Block 11, Lot 38.07, preliminary and final site plan approval. Applicant seeks preliminary and final major site plan approval to memorialize Phase 1 consisting of 27 hitting mats and permitting the development of an additional 7 hitting mats to the existing conditions of the property. First order is escrow and notices in place? Anybody have any conflicts? Okay.
Just for the record, Mr. Ackerman is not here just out of abundance of caution for a possible conflict. Yeah, that's why he's not here. Absolutely.
Right.
I'm sorry, what did I say? Ackerson. Oh, I'm sorry, Ackerson.
Oh. Jeffrey's not here.
Jeff is not here.
Jeffrey's not here. Okay, the first
He's more
order would
subtle.
be, the first order would be the completeness report. Artie, can you advise the board on how we can proceed? On the
No, let's let,
completeness? Mr. Bruno?
Do we have, and Bob can always tell us what
Okay.
is open.
Can we
what isn't.
proceed on the completeness report, please?
Yes. Good evening, Michael Bruno, Giordano, Haller, and Cecila, here on behalf of Swing Loose, who is the license holder of the rear lot property at Bell Works. Let me give a brief introduction because the site plan that we submitted is a little bit less than you might usually see. We appeared before your technical review committee several months ago with an overall plan, a two-phase plan. Phase 1 being what's before you tonight, which is just the memorialization of the area that's being used currently for the golf range, the hitting mats, with 7 additional mats, under a special permit that's been issued by the township for the last 2 seasons. The plan was to do a full site plan for Phase 1 and then a Phase 2, which will be the full build-out, proposed build-out of a driving range, state-of-the-art driving range, full facilities, but that takes a significant amount of engineering study and work to have those plans prepared. The town has issued the special permit and asked us to immediately come before you for Phase 1, and hence the less than complete site plan that you have before you. What we're trying to do is memorialize the existing conditions, that's called Phase 1, and ultimately we'll be back before you for the full Phase 2, which will have all of the engineering that you typically see in a site plan and all the environmental constraints identified, stormwater facilities, parking areas, lighting, all of the things that you would typically see in the site plan. So the site plan before you this evening is just to try to memorialize the existing condition that's operating under the special permit. So with that said, we are seeking quite a number of site plan submission items because they're simply not done yet. And we did want to get before you as requested by the Township Committee and Council. Hence, we're here for Phase 1. We do have a couple of exhibits. Our client is here this evening. He can describe the operations, how they currently operate. Lenny Savino, our civil engineer, is also here, and we can describe how the current conditions operate. And then whatever additional information you might need to be able to make your decision, we're happy to try to get you satisfied that you have enough information to make a decision this evening on Phase 1.
Okay, well, the board's question basically is under the completeness. On the checklist, you state that certain documents were provided, but they were not. Can you tell me why? Such as surveys, such as cover letters, such as key maps, such as vicinity map. A lot of things were not submitted to us. And it was on the checklist, on your checklist, saying that you provided these things to us.
Well, certainly the cover letter and description narrative of the project was submitted back in February, so.
All right, well, the identification of the project, the name and phone number, the owner's signed certificate, the index sheet, the key map, the license and number that we have, the date of all revisions, surveys, all property line dimensions, descriptions, these all say that this was provided, but the board did not receive any of this.
Yeah, I don't know why those checklist items were noted as provided if they weren't provided. That's.
And because on your transmittal, it only says that the cover letter and narrative from you, Mr. Bruno, preliminary and final site plan application and site plan dated 2/21/23, consisting of one sheet. So these two items were contradictory to each other.
Yeah, if there's items checked off that weren't submitted, I apologize for that. That was not intentional.
Okay, well, it's a question of,
Well, I have two questions.
go ahead.
One is, why were the improvements made without planning board approval?
So there really haven't been improvements made. There was a special permit that was issued by the town to allow the operations at the property as they currently operate. There's golf mats, hitting areas, 27 of them. There's a small storage facility. There's a parking lot that was existing as from the softball fields that were there previously that's been improved to make it usable. And the site operates currently in that fashion. Special permit was issued last year, and the site operated for several months last season. And again, a special permit has been issued by the town this year in March to allow the operations to continue. Part of that is that they want us to come before you and present the site plan of this area. Again, our proposal was to submit a complete site plan with phase 1 and 2 with all of the normal studies that you would see as part of the site plan, but they've requested that we bifurcate that and just come with phase 1 because of the delay in getting the full site plan prepared. That's going to take quite a bit more time to complete and present to you. So we've done that, and that's the reason why the information is not as complete as you might normally see on a site plan of this nature.
Seems a little bit like the...
I don't know the answer to that question either,
Right,
but
but-
we do have the permits if you want to see a copy. I did
No,
get
I understand. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I can provide a little background there. One is that, this, it really, the first season, it was kind of a seasonal event. And so, there was some discussion about how to handle it. Nothing that was installed was permanent in nature. So that's why the special event permit was issued last year. And it was issued this year, in order to let them begin the season. But part of that was that, they were expected to come to the board to formalize it at some point. So that's why the application is being made now, even though the changes to what's there today is very minimal. They're just proposing to add 7 more of the mats, but no pavement, no grading, nothing like that is proposed at this time. So that's why it's a kind of a slim document, you might say. But yeah, that's how it got started, and that's why they're here today.
Okay,
Thank you for that, but they didn't provide all the documents they said they would, according to you, Madam Chair, right?
Right. Well, there are two things how we can proceed. Well, first, the site plan is separate from the completeness, so we're dealing with that right now. So, Marty, can you advise the board on how?
Well, based on
We
Bob's
can-
recommendation,
we can
if he makes one, we could obviously hear the application, and anything that, the application itself seems pretty simple, but anything that you would have wanted to see or is on that checklist as haven't been submitted that wasn't, I would just make it a condition of approval if that's the way the board is inclined to go,
We would
just
have
to
them.
meet the township's expectation, and the alternative is to make them come back after they submit it, and I'm not, based on what Kate just
We
said,
would
I'm
have-
not sure if that makes sense or not either.
We can, sure.
These items that are missing, were these items that were, we were told would be submitted, or is it just a mistake on their end that were put on a cover letter that shouldn't have been?
Well, survey was not submitted, so when you were looking at the site plan, which I really don't want to get into the site plan first, the survey doesn't show the meets and bounds, it doesn't, but when you look at the site plan, it doesn't show where Bell Labs is. We as a board, this is an open public meetings. We have to provide information for the public. If a public was to go to town hall and ask to see the maps, when they look at it as a novice, they will not know where the parking lot is, they don't know where Bell Labs is, Bell Works is. They don't understand what they're looking at. And it's up to us to be able to provide that information to the general public. Bottom line.
And so you would want to...
It's information we do need. It's not that they told us they were giving it to us, but they didn't. it's information.
It could be a mistake on, which is fine.
Now,
That's
this-
fine.
This
but
board
we
could,
need it, is
you
the
could,
Right.
question. Okay.
this board, the board members who may have an understanding of Bell Works, so they could say, I understand it, public may not, so again, you could do it as a condition of approval if you have answered all your questions in your mind. If you don't know where this is because you can't tell, then you may not want to
Because
go
that's what they
forward.
would see when they come to town hall, and they would ask Courtney to see the plans. But yes, we can,
I mean, I asked Bob too to confirm, he can deal with this as a condition of approval, I
right,
assume, right?
we can provide, that everything would be provided on the checklist, if we were to deem,
What's the harm of not dealing with it tonight? I mean, they have the special event permit, which allows them to do everything. I have no objection to adding the extra mats, but
right.
why do they need the site plan approval today without us having gotten all the documents?
Well, what we'd like to do is present the site plan to you. We've got some additional exhibits to demonstrate the location of the property, as well as the facilities that are installed and operating today. And hopefully, you could take action and condition that action on any of the information you want as part of the record, and we would supplement the record as a condition to moving forward with the final approval.
And if I could just interrupt on that, we've done in the past, if the board's inclined, we could conditionally approve it, not just up to Bob as a resolution compliance, but they need to submit whatever these items are to Bob's satisfaction, Kate's satisfaction, prior to our adopting the resolution. So it would have, within 30 days or 45 days, they get it in, assuming it doesn't affect anything that we're going to vote on today, then you can then approve the resolution, if that's what you wanted. The timing of this is based on what, we don't know what the township would say unless.
And whatever they submit through this resolution compliance process prior to the resolution being adopted would be available for public review.
Right.
Yeah, I got a question.
And nothing stops them from doing what they're continuing to do under the balance of this year's special permit, other than they won't have the extra 7 mats.
What's the indemnification agreement that's not attached to this?
Yeah.
That's an agreement that they have entered into with the township, so if, God forbid, somebody gets hit with a golf ball and they sue the town, the operator has agreed to indemnify the town from any claims or damages relating to that.
But Mr.
Yes,
Bruno,
right.
that's not relevant to the site plan, correct? That was only part of the special event
Correct.
permit?
That's right.
Right, because, the biggest problem I see, I don't have a problem they put 50 mats there. I mean,
Me too.
it's just more about kids get crazy. They try to hit balls. Like my kids, I know sometimes hang out in the woods there. And, we don't want balls flying into the woods or someone on the chipping area sculling a ball hitting it backwards. I just want to make sure that precautions are made, so. Look, no one wants to get hurt, and, even though there's indemnification agreements, doesn't mean something could possibly happen,
That's just under the special permit. That has nothing to do with what we do.
Right.
Obviously,
Well,
the
I'm saying
applicant
moving
has
forward,
insurance.
right,
The applicant would have insurance, hopefully, and take care of any liability
But
issues like that.
isn't that part of the site plan
The
application?
liability issues, we don't get into,
Right.
whether they have insurance or not. but-
Well, I'm just
Right.
asking if they have insurance and the claim is greater than the amount of their coverage, then what happens?
Not our
They
problem.
go bankrupt.
Just
It's not our-
making sure
It's not our
nothing to do with us.
jurisdiction. No, it doesn't matter. Now, when you see the final full-blown site plan for Phase 2, I'm just making up a hypothetical. If you believe it's, they only go out 250 yards and they should go out 300 yards before there's a walkway, you would bring that up and say, unless you put netting up there, I can't approve this. Or, so you'll make those judgment calls when we see that. Even now, if you see something on this site plan, whatever we're calling it, you could raise it, say, well, my approval is conditioned on the applicant, doing A, B, or C.
So if we don't proceed tonight, you don't get the additional mats, is that what I'm hearing?
But they won't get them anyway until they're done with the resolution and they meet resolution compliance, which, other than submitting items, it doesn't sound like they're going to have a lot of resolution compliance items, but they can't put those mats in until the resolution's adopted.
So okay, so that might be until the next meeting or 2 meetings hence. I'm trying to understand the downside of delaying this until we get a complete
It's
set of
only-
materials.
It's only the 7 mats is the downside. If you do this on June 20th, So whatever that next meeting is in June, now it's not going to be adopted until July. Again, maybe the August meeting, we'll only have one meeting in July, and now they're at August, so it's
Yeah, I just find it very difficult to approve an application where the information is incomplete.
Joyce, would you mind going through that list of items again?
Okay. You mean in regards to what was supposed to be permitted?
Right.
Submitted,
right.
Okay. It says that all plots shall have signature blocks in accordance with the attached samples. Applicant and/or owner shall sign appropriate signature blocks in black ink. Environmental sensitive land areas map.
We would
Coverage.
ask for a waiver on that one.
Okay. Okay, so we'll make an item on what you want waivers for. The cover sheet, which we have, identification of project name, block and lot, address, name, phone number, owner, and applicant. Owner signed certificate of concurrence with plan. I hereby certify that I am the owner of record and the plan herein depicted, and that I concur with the plan. Index sheet and revised number and latest revision date. Key map not smaller than 1 inch equals 2,000, showing location in the township. Date and revision dates of drawing. North arrow, they did provide. All property line dimensions, descriptions, calculations, area, setback lines, lot and block as assigned by township engineer. And more importantly is the prepared by a New Jersey licensed surveyor, survey not more than 5 years old, showing existing and proposed monuments, all existing and proposed lot lines, all setback lines with dimensions, existing and proposed lot block numbers as assigned by township engineer, meets and bounds of all property lines, right-of-way lines, and easement, deed restrictions and conveyance, plus the easements that about the site directly. Those all say, the checklist says that everything was provided. And
we can describe what's provided on the plan, and what's missing, and then you can let us know what you need.
okay,
Again, this was a interim site plan, if you will.
Right.
And a lot of the details that you normally see are not ready to be put on the plan, as that additional work is undertaken.
see,
But
this plan doesn't even show for the board the parking area that I understand grading was being done today.
we need to refer to that. Is that what was submitted to the board, or is that something new?
Oh,
yeah, this is what we labeled as the site plan. This is the area where the maps are.
Okay.
And this is an exhibit we're showing of the subdivision of the entire property.
So we don't have that.
We don't have this. This is what we're going to present tonight.
Okay.
Subdivision of the entire property. And the green area is where the mats are up here, and the green area is where the proposed hitting area is. This is about a 15 plus or minus acre portion of this rear lot. Crawford's Corner Road, Middletown Road, Bell Works Building. This is the property behind it.
right.
The mats are set up right adjacent to the ring road. There's an existing parking lot that is not shown. Right? We agree this should be shown. That was used for the ball fields that were historically out there. That's been slightly improved to allow it to be usable and safe. And so people come here. They also park over here in the main parking lot, or they come from the building.
Right.
A lot of people from the building
And it
walk over.
doesn't show the location of the building. It doesn't show where.
It does not. It does not. And
this is what's going to be on file in town hall.
This does. So.
Right.
That's not going to result in the removal of additional trees, is it?
No.
No.
Nothing's being touched out there. So there are some sensitive areas out here that had been labeled as part of the previous site plan for Bell Works. This green area there's no sensitive area. This is a field that we're going to be hitting. So the streams are adjacent to this, area in here. The green area is usable area without any constraints.
Not know where we're going tonight, but I think we should mark that.
That's
Now,
exhibit.
just as A1, just because keep talking about it.
Yeah, so I'll mark the site plan as A1.
Okay.
this is what was submitted. And A2 I'll mark as the subdivision, rendered subdivision plan as A2. This is the rendered subdivision plan showing the hitting area. So we do have, I understand the waiver is an issue, and you need additional information. Whether or not you can do that as a condition of any action, or you want to see it first, that's up to the board.
Right.
But we are prepared to identify and give you a presentation on how this site operates. And then our engineer is also here to give you a presentation on the site plan and location. And then maybe, it's not going to be a long presentation, but once we're done, then you can maybe decide what more you need, and we'll react to what you need from us to be able to make an informed decision.
Okay, so we really have to talk, we can't move to site plan until we do completeness.
Well, everything would be conditioned on hearing
Right.
the application, so you could deem them complete for the hearing, and subject to hearing the application, anything you think you may need is going to be subject to them submitting, either before you vote or as a condition of approval.
Yeah, I
Okay.
would say that, depending, if the board were to decide they felt comfortable granting the waivers, and you do proceed to the hearing portion, if there's any information that you feel that you're missing, you have the right to, tell them that you don't feel comfortable voting on it tonight.
Okay.
And we'll stipulate to that also. We understand that you
Okay.
may need
Well,
more as you hear the presentation.
Board?
I guess I don't mind some kind of small presentation overview of what you want to do, but in terms of breaking this apart into different dates, I would prefer everything together so that we have it in front of us and understand what's being discussed. I look at all of this with all of the setbacks and say property lines or just where it's physically going on that property at Bell Works, and I can't, as I sit here without all of the correct documents in front of me, make a determination based upon your presentation tonight. And I don't want to, I would rather it all be done as one. I'm happy to hear about what you're looking forward to doing, but in terms of the formal presentation, I don't like the idea of it being separated into two different dates. It's just a little bit too much time, and I'm afraid things may get lost in that time period. It seems to me like there's an awful lot missing that would help us understand it more clearly and be able to make a more informed decision.
So if we give you the presentation, I think you might be able to tell us what else you need. So that, obviously, there's a lot of items on the checklist we're not going to submit because of the nature of this installation. But if we present this,
Waivers,
then maybe you could say, okay, we need to see this, this, and that before we can make a determination. And we're happy to provide any additional information. Obviously, the parking lot we need to show. We were hoping we could show that as a condition of any action, but if you need to see that beforehand, it's existing. We can provide that. So things of that nature that you're concerned with, obviously we need to get you what you need to make a decision, and we're prepared to do that. We're hoping that it's simple and straightforward enough that the items can be limited. It's a 100-acre parcel, and to survey that would be an exorbitant cost. So we were hoping that we could rely on a partial site plan for that purpose and not have to survey the whole property. We have an exhibit that shows you the area. Maybe that satisfies you. Maybe you need more. It'll be dependent on how you view it.
I just want to make sure procedurally, if you're doing the presentation tonight, do we have the benefit of it again at our next date?
Yeah, any other questions? They'd have to have their witnesses, and you're entitled to ask.
Right.
I assume they would come back.
We would come back, yes.
I don't mind two presentations, one after the other. I just don't want to vote tonight on this application, given its deficiencies.
What are we voting on? Just the fact of additional 7 maps?
And
I mean, does it really change the logistics of the whole project? You just widening it a little bit, or?
And that's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah, I mean,
Is phase two just really the final presentation and the final submission?
no,
No, phase two
Phase two, we're not even into.
is
Major
So-
changes.
So like Scott's
Right.
just saying, like, is this affecting how it's functioning? Like, I'd hate to see anything interrupted if everything's running smoothly.
No, I think the
You don't
issue
know
is,
if everything's running
the
smoothly.
special permit is a temporary permit, and it really is more appropriate that the operations as they exist today operate under a site plan, that, even though it's a minor site plan, that you've reviewed and approved. And I think that's the township would like to see that. And that's why we're in front of you, quickly, and before we're really prepared, because of the nature of the temporary permit.
But Mr. Bruno, the new permit is valid for this whole season.
Until
Correct.
12/23.
It is valid, yes.
Till
It-
December 2023.
Okay. So they will be able to operate as they currently do for if the board were to not grant the approval.
Yeah, that's it.
With 27 mats.
With 27 mats, not the additional 7.
Do we have to have an
Those
application?
extra 7 tonight? There's not?
No, that's a part of the
This
application. They have
application
to
is
amend
good
their
until
whole special
December
event permit.
31st.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say from the professional's perspective, this is an application that's not proposing any new construction. No new structures are really being placed here, and so that's why, we took a look at this, and we know the site, but I think that these are valid, the chairwoman has made very valid points about, what the public knows about the site, and how, whether the questions are answered by the
Yeah,
site.
I don't think we need a 100-acre survey, per se. I mean, I think you have that one site plan there, and maybe you have a key area of where we're talking about, then that may be surveyed, so we just understand, they use, like, it's 100, like, how many acres are they gonna be using?
Yeah, it's about
15?
I don't know,
15
15 or
acres?
17 acres.
Mhm.
We haven't surveyed it, so we don't know exactly, but that's the area, that green area. And, the way it's designed, some balls could go outside of that area, but they'll go in the adjacent
Go into
area.
the-
Can't pick up.
Right, but I also see the short game area, right? Look,
Is it short game area? No, short game area is for phase two. That's
so we're
not
not worried about that.
Yeah,
Okay, we're not worried.
there's no, it's just the mats, you're driving the balls into the field, hitting the balls into.
This has been going on for 2 years?
It's,
So far, temporarily?
this is the second season.
Okay, but no issues, no issues last year with anything whatsoever, nothing we're aware of?
I mean,
85 days last
85.
August, September.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's unreasonable just to ask for a little more detailed site plan, just to have a full understanding of the project, and then, I'm not sure we need.
It's significant detail, it's not insignificant.
Well, I'm just saying it just needs to be of the area, it doesn't have to be 100.
No, I understand that, but every site plan application or subdivision application has a survey associated with it,
Yeah.
provided as part of the completeness, and then the board can make an intelligent decision. I'm not opposed to the 7 mats, but
So it's in your mind, just a procedural thing at this point, just making sure that paperwork is.
it's significant procedural issue.
Because of the Senate presidents, too.
Okay, yeah, well, if that's the case, then that's the case.
How quickly can your client get to Bob some of these site plan items that would make it more palatable to the board? I know they haven't seen anything, so unless,
week or two.
Can we do a special meeting?
well, again, I don't think the presentation's that long. Right after that's Courtney, when the next,
The 20th.
we have two in June, I think, right? You have a full,
If he's gonna take, we can also carry it to the 20th, the same as the other.
right,
Mhm.
if you want.
I don't want to,
Right. How about the first, what's on the first June meeting?
June 6th,
So you could do June 6th if they
I
can
don't
get
know
it done in a week.
He said 2 weeks, you need
Yeah.
it.
It's 3 weeks from
That's
tonight.
3 weeks from now.
Like, if you can get it done in a week, 10 days ahead of time, we can get you on June 6th possibly, is kind of what the board secretary just mentioned, if the board agrees. I don't know if you can turn it around that quick.
It's up to Mr. Savino.
Yes.
It's not on the regular subdivision.
No, that you'd have to impose on subdivision plan.
Okay.
So could you give us a sense for what you need to see? Obviously, we're going to put the parking lot on there. That should be there.
Survey.
Survey, the stream is a Category 1 stream, which has a 300-foot buffer, which cannot be disturbed. If it's already disturbed, that's fine, but if it can't have additional disturbance.
So we can show those site constraints. We have that map, and then we'll show the area that's being the golf area, that's outside of those constraint areas.
Well, that's the hope, that it's outside of the...
It's got to be. I mean, it's...
Well, the stream, you pointed to a stream there, and that stream, and I don't know whether that's definitely a Category 1 stream, which has a 300-foot buffer. If there are any improvements proposed, and I don't think there are,
No.
but that should be part of the survey.
Okay. Yeah, we have an existing site constraint map that has that information on it, so we'll provide that.
The site plan that was submitted also references a topo survey prepared by LGA in 2006, and it references all of the lots.
Yeah, we can submit the subdivision plan.
There's probably been one since then, I would assume. But I know that they do have available the environmental constraints in this area, and that should be submitted. I would note in terms of things like setbacks, there are no technical structures here, so that's not a concern for this application. Setbacks, I mean, you want to see the lot lines, you want to see those measurements.
Well, they can overlay.
The old
the
approved,
old-
Yes,
maps and
yes.
stuff.
Yes,
Just saying
they
that
don't have
just in terms of setbacks, and that there are no structures technically here. So, you know, and yeah, we will want to see the parking lot, yeah, etc. But it's really just more. I think the orientation on the site is the most important thing, and the existing conditions that are enough to inform the board and the public as needed.
So we do have two temporary type structures. That's worth mentioning tonight, just to have the board informed about it as to what you need in terms of those facilities. There's a container out there that's a
Right, and
storage
It's our
container.
understanding that is a permitted use right now under your special
That's
events.
correct.
Which
And
is
there's
fine.
there's also portable johns.
Okay.
Well, you gotta go, you gotta go.
So I take back my statement of no structure. No, but they're not.
I know
yes.
it's-
They're not
Yes.
they're not permanent.
They're
structures.
not permanent, and they're
And we'll
on the street,
locate
but
those,
they're not really
we'll locate those on the plan,
Okay.
so they're memorialized. Anything else?
Anything else that the board wants?
Well, we have the hitting mats, and we have, why don't we describe, Pete, why don't you come up?
I can't believe I haven't been there yet. I gotta go.
Come on up, Pete. Let's go right to this microphone. So let's just give you a little overview of the
Let's
operations.
just swear in.
Yeah.
You
Pete,
swear? Oh, your mic on?
I talk quite loud. Good.
You swear to tell
Do
the
you
whole...
golf?
Wait till you swear in.
Doesn't she look like she golfs?
What am I doing?
You swear to tell the whole truth and the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
Okay, just spell your name for the record.
Peter, P-E-T-E-R, Myers, M-Y-E-R-S.
Peter, could you describe your company, Swing Loose, where you're operating in Bell Works, and how this operation came about?
Sure.
And describe your operations on a day-to-day basis out there.
Sure. So we, in February of 2020, opened Swing Loose Indoor Golf on the first floor of Bell Works. We started with about 2,700 square feet. We opened with 4 golf bays and expanded to 6 over the next 2 years. And then last year, this December, we signed a lease and expanded to the suite next to us, another 1,600 square feet. We have 3 more bays there, so we have a total of 9 indoor golf bays. Talking with the owner of Bellworks, we noticed this beautiful piece of land, flat, no trees. I mean, there's trees in the outskirts, which is beautiful. So there's no plans to disturb anything. We want the natural look of the place. And we said, let's open a golf range out there and see what the community
Mm-hmm.
thinks. And Ralph Zucker, owner of Bellworks, said, let's try it out. He's a big fan of what we've done inside. We are one of the most, I think, heavily trafficked of the retailers downstairs, indoors. And now that we've opened the outdoors, we have over 120 people a day coming by to play some golf balls. So we open at 9 a.m. We have 4 different size buckets you could purchase, from $9 up to $29. And it's your good old-fashioned driving range, Matt. You know, there's no technology out there. All that fun stuff is for phase 2. You know, we do hope to create a top golf competitor, if you will, in the future. But right now, we're just doing buy buckets of balls off mats, and we close at dusk. We hire some high school folks and some not high school folks that I really enjoy working there.
So how do you, somebody comes over, they park in Bellworks, or they park on this
It's a
site?
mix. It's a mix of parking in the lot. Our employees park in the lot, the existing Bell Labs lot. But this lot from years ago is proven to be great. We cleaned it up a little bit, so some people park there as well. And yeah.
And you sell balls from a picnic table? Is that how it operates?
We have a picnic table, and we have an iPhone and a Square unit, and people use cash or Apple Pay or credit cards.
And when do you generally close? At dusk?
Yep.
And who's using the facilities? Are these a lot of the community
A
residents?
lot of folks from Bellworks, a lot of folks in the community. People are loving it.
Where, can you show us on the map the parking lot that you're referring to, the old parking lot that was existing in the area, where it is?
Sure. So on this map, you can, there's the ring road, and you can actually see, on the plan, it shows drawing of the roadway to that area from back in the day. And that's where people park. So on this, here,
That
here's the
would be
ring
it,
road,
but-
outer ring, right? And these are on all the drawings. And if you go on Google Maps, you can see people know probably this area. So people just park right here.
So that begs the question of, will there be directional signing placed to allow certain turns and disallow others, and there's stop sign and what have you?
Not on this application. It would be following for phase 2, but there's no directional.
Why shouldn't there be if it's an intense use
It
site?
comes out of that, they have to stop before they go into the ring and things like that you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
You would have to slow down, yeah. Are
Yeah,
you
but
entering the
if
ring?
you're going on the ring, what is it, west on the ring, and you want to make the left hand, no, west.
You can?
That's the inner.
That would be out
No, the
there.
outer ring.
Well, you know, around the ring, there's always signs like "Don't enter," "Must make right," "One way." Like, is there any signage there that when they come out of the parking area, that they know not to accidentally make a left, and then head into oncoming traffic?
Just shank
Maybe
them
that's
in
what
the
Bill's
woods.
saying.
A sign like that does not exist today.
Probably should.
So,
you're
yeah,
saying someone might accidentally go this way.
Right.
Yeah.
right.
Could happen.
Yes.
You don't have a sign.
As part of phase 2, there certainly will be
No, it should be part of phase
signage
one.
But there should be,
and
even part of the
pedestrian.
temporary work permit, there should be part of that too. Because
Yeah.
people can get, confused.
It should be part of this
I would
application.
agree with
Is that their responsibility
Yeah.
or the owner of Bellworks?
that. No, it's their fun. Just like when you have I would imagine like if you have a fair, you put up signage that says,
But is it
"Don't
an
enter."
existing roadway?
It's just an existing
That's
gravel
an issue
road.
between them. If the board requires a sign and Bob says that stop sign's needed,
They could
that's
put
the
something,
approval.
yeah, they could put something in their lease area,
That's right.
potentially like temporary, movable. It doesn't need to be a permanent, like no, don't enter, one-way sign.
It's really just a driveway.
Yeah, it's,
Oh, it's not road.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
but
a
if it's-
driveway. There is signage, you do have a sign that directs people to the.
We have a sign
Yeah, a
that
temporary
says
sign, yeah.
swing loose golf range with an arrow.
But even though it's technically a driveway, it's being used as a parking lot. So what we just don't want is people to come out and forget where they are and make a left. I mean, I don't think it's a big deal to put a temporary directional sign there. I think that's a good point, but
Just right turns only as you're
yeah,
coming out of
everything
town.
only, stop sign, whatever, I think it's terrifying.
We can do that.
Is there any concern that the area we have now, if we were to increase it by an additional 7 bays, that would create an issue with parking?
We don't believe so.
So,
Okay.
because the overflow parking goes,
Right.
Here's the 7.
the overflow parking can go into Bell Works, into
Okay.
their main parking lot, so that,
So it's
I don't
close
even think
enough
it's,
where...
there's no
And
traffic
it's the
issue
first
here
one
as far as
today,
I'm
right?
concerned.
Okay.
At least I don't think there is.
Yeah, and the ordinance does not have specifications for it,
Right,
so we would
so-
rely on the applicant's testimony for parking.
Okay.
And generally speaking, folks are there throughout the day, morning till night, and they're there 15, 20 minutes. Right? They're not there very long.
Right.
So the parking lot
No,
doesn't.
I don't think traffic's an issue.
Just to make sure,
Fine,
we're talking
too.
about their eventual plans, like what they're gonna do, like they're gonna have heated bays down the line?
Oh, yes.
Right, so like.
That's our-
indoor
But that's phase
structures-
two.
That's phase two.
That's phase
not-
two.
that's not-
We
That's
can't
a whole
make it
different
through-
animal.
Through phase one.
Okay, just making sure I understand.
We don't, yeah, nothing that's gonna be part of the second phase needs to be considered
Okay.
now, because I don't think,
Just making
nothing's
sure.
been finalized, and we don't know.
And anything you do here doesn't impact that.
Yeah, I was just saying, for me, because I'm on now, like, all I hear is, this is phase 1, and all I hear is they want 7 more bays. Like, is that all we're doing, phase 1, is just this grass mat with 20 or 30
Yes.
bays, and that's it?
Right,
That's
that's
it.
Bare bones kind of stuff?
That's it.
It is so bare bones.
And formalizing it, so
Right.
it's no
Oh, that's what
longer
I'm
a
asking,
special
just
event.
making
sure.
Yep.
right.
We will
Not
bring a
asking
picture of a
for-
concept for phase 2, just to wet your whistle on,
Okay.
I think we need a site
It may
visit.
open more. I don't want to.
We'll do that after you take action.
Exactly.
Okay, well, we would like to get you on the agenda as soon as possible, because we don't want you to lose business or anything else. But we have to have the checklist the way it is, especially since it says it was submitted and it wasn't provided. And that's for your benefit as well as ours.
Understood.
Bottom line. And so we would like to get you, we can put you on a special meeting, or we can put you on the June 2nd, June 6th meeting. We can bring you up without, do we need to notice for that?
No.
Here.
they're gonna
Okay, we're
carry
good.
it.
Right,
Yeah,
we'll carry it to June 6th.
We'll update, we'll get you this additional information, we'll update the checklist to make it
Right.
accurate, and then
And-
we'll come back on June 6th.
That would be perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the application is technically being deemed incomplete.
Deemed incomplete, and it will be carried until June 6th.
Without further notice.
Without further notice.
And when we can, your professionals can speak to Bob or I.
Yes,
with any
we
questions,
we
yeah.
will, thank
We
you.
need
I
that.
think we have a pretty good idea.
I assume that's Langen back there, or
Yeah.
Yes.
is it worth them, they're here speaking, or they need to speak, or no, it's no point?
I can give most of my
Yeah.
testimony, just so you know.
What's that?
He did most of
You
my.
stole your thunder?
Lenny, you're here, you want to, can we give you
I'm just
a
saying
brief,
if,
a brief overview in the intro?
It's up to the
No,
board.
you can't.
I don't know if it makes.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's worth
Okay, so we will hold off?
Hold on, all right, sit down, Lenny.
it. Sorry, Lenny.
All right, motion to approve it, or?
It's just gonna be carried.
Carried.
Yeah.
Motion, okay.
Yeah, we don't even have to, nothing you have to.
Oh, okay.
Okay, motion
No,
carried.
yes, you can do an informal motion.
Well, that's what he was
All right, go for it.
That makes you happy?
Tell me what to say. Motion to
I don't
carry?
need
Carry this forward, is that the
To
right
June
term?
6th without
To June
further
6th
notice.
Without further notice.
All in favor? All in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Aye.
Thank you.
Thank
See you
you.
June 6th,
Okay,
and we'll get the updated submission in ASAP.
good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a great amenity.
Thank you.
Gotta follow the process.
I didn't want to.
Peter, you have to leave those? Peter?
They have to
Peter, you gotta
stay.
leave those.
People that fall over, you gotta-
Not gonna expect.
Let him hear. Oh, you want to keep that? Okay.
Yeah, that's Mark.
It's right there, Mark.
Yeah.
I forgot Loretta was down there. I don't see her from over here.
She's ignoring us these days.
Yeah. Right. Okay, next order of business is the draft minutes, January 17th, 2023, reorganization meeting, and March 7th, 2023, the regular meeting. Mr. Kaysen, do you have anything to say?
Oh, be nice.
You normally,
I was going to make the motion to approve them.
oh, good, go ahead.
Maybe you should make some comments.
I make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
A
both
second?
sets.
Second,
Okay. All in favor?
I.
Aye.
Aye, okay. And any professional reports? Bob, Kate?
No reports, Madam Chair.
Nothing for me, except I think this might be my first time at the planning board this year, so.
It's our second, so.
Big filler.
Marty, anything?
Nope.
Okay, can I have a motion?
No, I want to ask Kate a question.
Oh, we have a question.
Officially or off the record?
No, officially.
Okay.
Okay.
We, way back when, I forget when, we authorized you to do a study about the proposed, a redevelopment study for Crawford Hill, where the horn antenna is. And I thought that would be available around March. Has that study been completed?
The study is in its final phases. We're kind of putting the finishing touches on it. We have not, no date has been set for a hearing and no date before the planning board yet. And it hasn't been, no, the township, and we have not yet submitted it to the township.
Okay.
So
But how does
once
your-
it's completed, will it be put on the agenda? I mean, it's our call, right?
But how does that work with the legalities of the township committee sending it to the courts with the township committee? You know, as far as ownership and just everything. I think is this a Charlotte's Web that's happening?
Technically, this is a separate, completely separate document.
Okay.
Because it's not, what this study does, it doesn't change the zoning, it doesn't, it doesn't change ownership, it doesn't change anything like
Right.
that. But, I have to admit, I've not really been party with everything. I'm aware of what's going on with the township committee, but I've not really been party to it as
Mhm.
I'm no longer the planner to the township committee. But yes, it has to be noticed by the township once it's completed, and it will be posted. But it's up to either, it's once it's completed, it'll go through some channels of revisions probably, and then it'll go before this board for a hearing.
And
But then we only
it's
make
It's
recommendations.
posted by us, not by the township committee? We hired you, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, I believe so, technically.
Right,
Yes,
because
it would
we
be.
then get the
Our hearing.
draft.
Our hearing.
Right, we get the draft, we make suggestions, and that's when we send it on with our recommendations. It
Right.
doesn't matter because the
The-
township committee might.
Right.
Yeah, and this is just to clarify what you were talking about, Joyce. The litigation that is currently pending in court, which obviously is public record, anyone can pull up the complaint and see, is basically to help determine who owns the horn antenna.
Mm-hmm.
So the redevelopment plan, my understanding, that's something
Study.
study, excuse me. That redevelopment study is something separate, and that is with the planning, that would be with the planning board.
Mm-hmm.
So two kind of independent things going on.
Because then we send it on to you with our recommendations, or to the township committee.
Right.
So it does not become an area, I can't remember if there's timeframes in there, but it does not become an area in need of redevelopment without eventually the township committee's approval by resolution, not ordinance.
Mhm.
But the planning board does hear it first. But yeah, the study is completely separate from, the litigation, however it ends has no bearing on the study.
Mm-hmm.
I respectfully request that you put nose to the grindstone. I've been waiting for a bated breath here for months, so. I'm a planner, you know?
I see that.
And I know about areas in need of redevelopment. I know about all that stuff, and that's a conversation for another day. But I live and breathe that stuff, so I'd like to see it. Thank you.
Okay.
And it also, eventually, if it is scheduled, when it's scheduled for a public hearing, it will be posted for, it'll be noticed, and it will also.
I'm leaving for Florida. Okay, somebody want to make an motion
I'll
to
move.
adjourn unless anybody has any other comments for this evening?
Motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second? Scott? Motion adjourned. Meeting adjourned. Thank you all for coming.
Motion made.
Leave you all
Thank
flustered. You're
you
trying to
very
think
much.
when to secure that airfare? Yeah.
You can turn off the recording if you know how.
I don't.
Oh, you don't? Okay, Samantha. Can you turn that off for her?
This stop button down there, this one.
Nobody really talked
Yeah, we
until
don't have
then?
enough minutes to have her know.
Yeah,